In 1975, Hoang Chi Smith started over. Her father was a member of the South Vietnamese military and brought his family to the U.S. when their nation fell. Her story is told in TigerFish, a memoir of a South Vietnamese colonel's daughter. Hoang Chi joins us to share her personal journey, next on Studio Sacramento.
At Five Star Bank, we create thoughtful solutions to help the capital region thrive, from economic development and education to public health and safety, issues that are vitally important to Sacramento's prosperity. We're proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
Take us back to the day when you knew that your life was going to change forever.
It's a day that I will never forget. It's March 28th, 1975, and my mother had packed up our things for like a week, and we were all excited because we get to go back to our hometown in Nha Trang, where I was born. But the moment that we got into our Jeep to go to our destination, we realized that our lives would change forever, because there are refugees flooded the streets and clogged up the streets, and the refugees came from the northern cities and they're moving south just like everybody else, and we all have that collective sense of doom, of the war is going to end, because Hue collapsed the night before, and so strategically Hue and then Da Nang and then Nha Trang and so on and so forth. So everybody felt the vacuum of the military protection. So everyone's for themselves, right? So as soon as we got in the Jeep, and we were supposed to be escorted to helipad with the helicopters taking our family to the ship, to the dock where the naval ship was going to take our family and others to go south to Nha Trang, where our home was. But the minute we boarded and we got on the streets, chaos. It's really anarchy. Everyone was for themselves. There's people on the street with the bundles of the belongings, and everybody just pushing to get to their destination.
And how old were you at this
I was
time?
13 years old.
Wow.
I was 13. And so we finally got to the helipad. The helicopter that my dad had ordered for our family, it was full of other people. So then the guards, we had to fight our way to board the helicopter. So it was, chaotic, because, there's traffic booths where once was a guard in there, doing the directions. Well, no one was there except a child, and he was playing with the light, and it was like Christmas lights, just turning on whatever. So the child was playing where Law and Order was.
And how long did it take for you to actually get to the ship?
It was, I don't remember exactly, but it took about maybe 5 times longer, hours. It was we left in the morning, and we didn't get there until like maybe the afternoon, and it should only take about a couple hours.
Now, when we think of a ship, we're thinking about a large ship. Is this a big ship?
So it was supposed to be a naval ship. It was supposed to be like a Vietnamese naval ship. But, so that was our understanding. But when we got to our destination at the dock, it's Song Cha Bay, it's Tiên Sa, actually. So anyway, we got there, and there were thousands of people. And they
all
were
waiting for a ship as well.
All waiting. And how they know about it, I would never know. I thought we had the ins, but apparently that wasn't the case. So that was when we knew that our lives were going to change. And apparently, as soon as we left, all our belongings were looted. Neighbors, and it's gone. It's like the turning tide.
So your journey, now you get on the ship, and do you go all the way across the ocean? What happened?
Oh, no. So the intention was to go from there, and I wish I have a map so I can show you. So the intention was to go from Da Nang to Nha Trang, which is down the coast. It's a coastal city. And that was the intention. So we ended up just huddling. I mean, all of us, the other thousands of people, would just occupied the whole dock, the whole shipyard. And we were waiting there. The ship wasn't there yet. We were just waiting for it to come. And so we're all just sitting on wherever, you know, outside on the street.
And your father's status, he was a colonel
Right.
in the military. I guess the assumption would be that somehow he would have the authority to get you guys taken care of. That didn't
Right.
happen?
Well, he was with us, and he actually was on the helicopter. He was actually with us on the dock, but he was powerless because at that point, yeah, I guess the ranking didn't matter anymore. So he was with us the whole time. Even if he wanted to leave, he couldn't. He was pretty much stuck there.
Incidentally, because he was a colonel in the South Vietnamese military, if your family had stayed and not left, what would have happened?
So then we probably wouldn't make it. They probably kill my dad, my whole family, and if they decided not to, they would walk my dad from the south to Hanoi because he's higher ranking officer. The prisoners would go to the north where they call it re-education camp, which you can imagine torture, whatever, a slow death. And for the family, if they spare our lives, we would be persecuted, we would be blacklisted, we wouldn't have schooling available to us, we wouldn't have jobs that are available to us. So we would be persecuted as, you know, the side who lost the war.
When you finally were leaving Vietnam permanently,
Right.
what's the last picture in your mind of your homeland?
Well, so by the time we left Vietnam, we left Da Nang March 28th. We boarded the C-130 transporter in Saigon. That was April 25th, 5 days before the fall. The picture that I have in my mind, I was so grateful that the communists will not kill us because we've spent all that time, we're moving south, trying our best to get out because it is like we're running away from the tide and we didn't want to be taken over by the tide, so we're just like one step ahead of the oncoming tide and like tidal wave. And so for me, we've seen a lot of bad things happen along our journey, and my older siblings would cover my younger siblings' eyes so we wouldn't see these things, and I actually don't want to relive those moments because, you know, it's just really traumatizing for me still. So, but there's a lot of bad things that I don't want to see, but anyway, so by the time that I know that I was marching to the C-130 from the embassy, I was just grateful that I'm gonna come out on the other side.
You know, when I look at the cover of your book, TigerFish, right here, this little girl,
That's me.
looks like she's seen a lot. That looks like a very serious face.
Well, you know, a lot of people comment about that.
Yeah.
I was 10 years old.
So this
That's-
hadn't even happened yet.
Oh no, I never knew what peace was. We lived through war the whole time. I mean, we slept in a bomb shelter bedroom. So you can imagine the kids, you know, I slept on the top bunk. So when there's air raid, when I hear the bombs or the shelling, you can hear when it's started or the siren will go on. I would hop down from my top bunk, go down to the floor, and my brother would hop down from his bed and we'd huddle on the bottom. So we lived with the war.
So this was never ending of tension and stress.
Well, it escalated, you know, around 68, as you well know. I mean, the war escalated around that time. And we live in Da Nang, we live right next to the critical infrastructure. So we lived next to the hospital, We live next to the airport, and it's a miracle that we never, got killed.
So take us now, you get on the C-130 and you come to America, okay? You land, place you've never been before. What happens then? Where do you go?
So, and I have to say, I'm ever grateful and indebted to David Brown and his wife Dwick and his sister. So the reason why we got to be on the embassy's list is because my sister-in-law's sister is married to the diplomat who worked in Japan at that time. His wife told him to go to Vietnam to fetch his family, bring them safely to America. So when he came, he risked his career because it was a one-way ticket and he did it to save the family. He came and my sister-in-law didn't want to go because her husband was still missing. So she said, I don't want to go. And then, of course, David Brown had to insist, well, if you don't, he tried different strategies. He said, if you don't go, I can't take your father-in-law's family. So that worked. And she said, okay, I'll go.
Okay, so you're able to get over here to the United States. Where do you arrive at?
So the C-130 only took us to Guam.
Okay.
And when we got to Guam, that was one of the 2 times in my whole life I wanted to kiss the ground. I really wanted to just, because I never knew what peace was, my whole life. My dad was away fighting. So, and it was a new dawn for us, metaphorically and really physically, because it was dawn. We got onto Guam, and it was humid, just like Vietnam. It was dawn, and you can see the palms swaying in the background, and I just felt it was a great feeling to be alive and, taste peace.
Wow. Now, it's my understanding that when people came to the United States from Vietnam, they had sponsors and people who sort of made a way for them. What was that in your case?
We spent about 10 days to get processed, immigration. Then we went to the mainland and went to Camp Pendleton. And that was the refugee camp. We lived there for 3 months waiting, applying for sponsors. So that's what that's what a lot of men did as daily routines. Instead of looking for work, they went to the tents where there's a lot of postings for sponsors. So we had to match our family size, which is 9. That's a lot of people.
9.
Yeah, my parents and the 7 kids. And so my dad would come back empty, every day. There's nobody would want to sponsor 9 people. That's a lot of mouths to feed. And so finally, he saw a posting for a lodge in Wyoming, and he said, oh, they want labor. They want to sponsor a big family. And so that was our ticket to mainstream America. That didn't work out because, everybody, all the adults worked except for the 4 kids, me and the younger 3. After 2 weeks of working, we actually owed the sponsors $90.
What?
So they
That doesn't make sense.
Right, they exploited us for our labor. And so my dad secretly went in contact with the immigration and the sponsor, the Lutheran church people. There's an organization, to help out, just like Firm for Fresno. And so luckily for us, it happened very quickly. Bethel Lutheran Church was our lifeline in America. And so that's how we came to Fresno to settle there. The most frequently asked question for me is, why did you choose Fresno? So we were very lucky to be chosen by
this church.
By this church.
It's also interesting to me, in your book, you talk a lot about your father. And, there's adjustments that have to happen. And I just want to read one passage to you that you wrote. My father had his frequent melancholy episodes and still suffered terrible nightmares. He continued to grind his teeth severely to the point where I expected him to have nothing left between his gums in the morning. He had so much anger and resentment that if he wrote how he felt, it would have been more than the contents of the Library of Congress. This is the part that was so affected. He lived two different lives, one of power and prestige in delicate balance of life and death in Vietnam, and the other in humbling modesty coupled with freedom and safety for his children in America. How did your dad ultimately reconcile the decisions that he made and how it changed all of your lives?
You mean to come to America?
Yeah, because of the change in status, the change in environment and culture and everything else.
Excellent question. So, and that's why one of the reasons why I feel so compelled to publish it to the world. Because when you peel everything that's superficial to all of us, we wear different clothes, we speak different languages, we eat different food, we observe different customs, different religions, but when you peel all of that away, the fundamental, basic human need is survival. It's survival for yourself and your children. You always want your future generation to do well. And in order to do well, you have to live. so it's unequivocally life. It's the life that he wants us, first of all, let's stay alive.
At such a huge sacrifice to himself.
I don't think when you get to that point that he even, he wouldn't equivocate. I mean, it comes clearly. I have children, I know.
I have children.
Yeah, so you want to give them life. And it's not a question. When it comes down to it, he's always been a patriot, but when you have higher up orders to say, stand down, you're gonna stand down.
Your father passed away.
No, my father is still alive.
Oh, he's still alive?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And today, what is he doing?
So he's retired. He's in his 90s, and he's very strong. He still drives, and he goes to see my mother every day at her nursing home because she has Parkinson, and that's why he took care of her as much as she could, and then it gets to the point where she needs professional care. So it's like the novel Notebook. It's like that, except real people, real life. He would drive every single day. He missed maybe a couple times a year because DMV appointment or whatever, or when he was actually in ER. But other than that, he's a military man, he's very disciplined. He gets in this car, he drives there, he has breakfast with her, walks her in the wheelchair, say goodbye, tuck her in, and he goes home. And so he's alive and well, and my mom, she's suffering from Parkinson.
Tell us how she dealt with the transition coming to America.
This is why I dedicated the book to my mother. She's, how do I say this? She's a very selfless mom. I'm a wife, and I cannot imagine raising all the kids without my husband being at home and never know if your husband's gonna come home alive or not. My dad never had announced visit because you don't want to set up the snipers, if you don't want them to know your routines, right, your schedule. So we got to see him very seldom. So my mom lived with that. She raised, all of us on her own. Of course, my dad provided the financial part of it, but she raised all of us. And, she, very stoic, compassionate, but very stoic. She's loyal, family first, always. And she sacrificed so much for us. And so when we came to America, she didn't speak any English, right? So I took her to the adult school, to 2 nights a week, Tuesday and Thursday night. I'd drive her downtown, and she loved it because that was her interaction with other non-English speakers, and they would learn, and it was just, you can see that she blossomed. She loved it. And so she started to learn a few things, and English, but she's very selfless. She wanted her kids to do well, and her message for the girls in the family. Not that it wouldn't apply to the boys, but she was barred from education because the war was in full swing. It was unsafe for girls to walk to school because, let's face it, you can be sexually molested, right, by a lot of different, soldiers on both sides. And so she wanted us to have education, and that was one thing she said for the girls, there's 5 of us. Make sure you have a college degree. That is your ticket to freedom. So when I have any sort of discouraging moments or, I think of my mom. I think of the people who made it possible for me to be here. They saved my life. So my mom, she's really, both my parents, they were my role models because they just soldier on, no pun intended. They just, and that was it. For the longest time, I didn't do any introspection. I just, heads down, working.
So you didn't do any introspection. So at what moment did you decide to write the book?
Children. Yes. So when my daughter was 2 years old, I decided she needs to know her history. I wanted her to know what it was like for me as a child, what it was like for my parents, what it was like for my siblings, what was the norms for us. Even though it was war, you get used to it, and this is your norm. You're not going to cower in the corner and not go to school. So I wanted her to, and in reading the book, she'll learn more about me and why I am the way I am. Meaning that I really stress education, I stress hard work, and stay true to your voice. Don't let anybody tell you that, no, you can't do that, because I was born the year of the tiger, notoriously.
Are you a tiger mom?
I am not a tiger mom, actually. And you know why? Because my mom was very strict. Both my parents are supremely strict. So I relax a lot. I'm not helicoptering them. I'm not. If anything, I give them a lot of love, a lot of physical contact, because that's what I crave.
And what's better than that?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, since you came to America, have you been back to Vietnam?
Yes, 30 years anniversary, 2005. My whole family went. My husband, I married my high school sweetheart when we graduated from college in Fresno. I have 2 beautiful children, and 2005, I thought 30 years later, let's just have closure, personally speaking, because I had a lot of survivor's guilt, and but it was safe for us to go back to. We had diplomatic relations, so it was safe for me to go back. So my whole family went back for 3 weeks, and I'd be lying if I say I wasn't scared when I was there, because I didn't, there's no safety. I mean, it was a safe place to visit, but from my background and my history, I wasn't sure how it was going to go down. But with the last name Smith, I think I was spared. I was safe. So yes, we went back, and it was good.
What was that like?
It's I imagine this is what grief is like. You never know when you're going to cry. It hits you at the strangest moments. So first, when we landed, I was really scared. I didn't know if, will I be arrested? Will I be thrown in jail? I thought, no, not that important. I'm not my dad. But so nobody bothered us. And then it was so surreal, because of course you're tired, 13-hour flight, and we're riding in the van with my family, and we're just watching the world went by, and it was like a slow motion movie. I was watching, I thought, this couldn't be true, am I living it? This is a dream? And then as reality set in, I loved it. I loved every moment of it. The food was great, the people were so friendly. They don't remember anything about the war. Most of them were born after the war. But then when I heard certain songs that were there, right now they're classic songs, and I just broke down to cry like a baby, because it triggers some memory in me, because we listened to a lot of music And I think that was music has a way of bringing you back to a certain
To
place,
a particular moment.
to the precise moment sometimes. And I think that I just broke out and cried. But it was therapeutic. It wasn't the kind of cry that, it was a therapeutic cry, you know. And the rest of the time, it was great to see the part of the country that wasn't safe for me to go before. For example, we went to Hanoi.
And we're going to have to leave it there.
Okay.
The book, again, is TigerFish.
Correct.
And we so much appreciate you sharing your story and your journey with us.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right.
Thank you, Scott.
And that's our show. Thanks to our guest, and thanks to you for tuning into Studio Sacramento. I'm Scott Syphax. See you next time right here on KVIE.
At Five Star Bank, we create thoughtful solutions to help the Capital Region thrive, from economic development and education to public health and safety, issues that are vitally important to Sacramento's prosperity. We're proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
All episodes of Studio Sacramento, along with other KVIE programs, are available to watch online at kvie.org/video.